Just because somebody starts off playing as a quarterback doesn't mean that they're going to end their career as a quarterback.
Cam Akers, he is Mr. Do Everything. He is a running back. He is a quarterback. He'll throw it. He'll run it.
There are some guys right now who are playing some pretty high-level football that at one point in their career actually played a bit at quarterback. So today, let's take a look at 10 stars that I bet you didn't know used to play quarterback. Starting with a topical one, and a guy that clearly was wise to leave his quarterbacking days behind him, Jacoby Myers. Before Myers turned himself from an undrafted rookie out of NC State into the wide receiver one for the New England Patriots, and subsequently before his disastrous impromptu chuck against the Raiders, Myers actually played quarterback. I know you might not think that after the heave he threw right into the hands of Chandler Jones during the Patriots' debacle against the Raiders this season, but it is true. Growing up in Lithonia, Georgia, Myers played quarterback for his high school football team, and was actually recruited for the position at NC State. But after his redshirt freshman year, during which he was an important member of the scout team due to his speed and quarterbacking ability, he began to make the transition to wide receiver. And while it wasn't an immediate success, he quickly turned into one of the more reliable receivers in the game, eventually becoming a 1,000-yard receiver and breaking Torrey Holt's single-season receptions record for the school in 2018, his final season on campus. So, considering the success he's had as a wide receiver, and the lowlights we've seen on the national stage, I suppose it's a good thing for Myers that he committed to the switch. There are actually a couple of high-profile wide receivers that, like Jacoby Myers, had to make the switch from quarterback in order to make it in pro sports. Randall Cobb, Aaron Rodgers' long-term downfield target, is a name that comes to mind. Cobb grew up in Alcoa, Tennessee, where he was one of the most accomplished athletes in the state. In addition to playing quarterback for his high school team, he lettered in basketball and track. Football, of course, was his primary passion, though. And he even earned Mr. Football honors from the Tennessee Secondary School Athletic Association, but not as a wide receiver, the position that he's earned his living playing. No. At that time, the man was a quarterback. Not only could Cobb sling it, but his 10.75 100-meter dash time that he recorded in track really came in handy, as it created a second element to his game and made him one of the premier dual-threat quarterbacks in his class. His high school resume earned him looks across Division I college football, and he ultimately chose to go to the University of Kentucky, where he started multiple games as a freshman and accounted for 11 touchdowns, 2 of which were receiving. As a sophomore, however, the transition began, and he moved to wide receiver full-time. Cobb really hit his stride out of his new position by his junior year, and declared for the NFL draft, where he went in the second round to the Green Bay Packers, and, well, the rest, as they say, is history. Russell Gage, the former Atlanta Falcons wide receiver who joined up with Tom Brady in the Bucs this past offseason, is another example of a wideout that started off as a quarterback. Gage was a 3-star prospect growing up in Louisiana as a QB, but in order to make the cut at LSU, his hometown uni, he had to make not one, but 2 position changes. When he first got to Baton Rouge, he played defensive back, before being brought over to the offensive side of the squad midway through his junior year. He was used both as a running back and a wide receiver in varying degrees, before he made that transition fully as a first-year pro in Atlanta. And while it has been a bit of a down year for Gage, you have to think that the $20 million guarantee that he got from the Bucs is all the reassurance that he needs to know that he made the right choice shifting to wide receiver. Though there have been quite a few wide receivers to make the transition, there may be no more impressive transformation than that of Cooper Kupp, last year's Super Bowl MVP. Kupp went from a well-respected wideout to a household name last year when he took home the receiving Triple Crown, leading the league in receptions, yards, and touchdowns en route to a Super Bowl championship and the aforementioned MVP honors. But long before Kupp became the go-to guy on the Rams, even before he was a relatively obscure third-round pick out of Eastern Washington, Cooper actually played some quarterback himself. Now, it was way back in high school, and he was used pretty sparingly because, well, you usually want your best wide receiver to be playing wide receiver, but it was not uncommon for him to be slotted in under center. And quarterbacking runs in the Kupp family, as his father Craig was a quarterback for the New York Giants, Arizona Cardinals, and Dallas Cowboys back in the day.
You know, Cooper Kupp's dad was my backup at one point for the Cowboys back in 1991, Craig Kupp. I'd forgotten all about that. I didn't even know that Craig was Cooper's dad. He was there for, I don't know, maybe 2 cups of coffee. It wasn't very long, but Craig, I miss you, my man. Hope you're well.
And the Rams even considered doing the same with Kupp during the 2020 season when emergency quarterbacks were all the rage due to COVID protocols. One of Kupp's Rams teammates, Cam Akers, was actually a highly decorated high school quarterback himself and was also one of the Rams' options in 2020 if they got desperate. I mean, honestly, looking at the Rams quarterback play this year, I'm kind of surprised that Akers didn't get any burn at quarterback because his resume is actually pretty impressive. Akers led Clinton High School to a Mississippi State championship and, in 4 seasons, passed for 8,140 yards and 78 touchdowns and rushed for 5,103 yards and 71 scores. Akers, however, never really considered trying to continue playing the position at the next level because of his relatively diminutive 5'10" stature.
This isn't the first time I've been thwarted by my small stature.
But that doesn't mean that all that quarterbacking was just a waste. Not only did it get Akers a ton of Power 5 attention, Akers has also shared that he believes his experiences as a quarterback, even though it was way back in high school, have actually helped his game as a running back. Playing quarterback, you have to slow the game down. I think that this transition to running back slowed down the game for me. You know, it's surprising he's not a better pass blocker, considering he knows the pain of free rushers crashing in on the QB. Akers isn't the only running back to have lived a former life as a quarterback, though. The Kansas City Chiefs' shifty back Derrick McKinnon and Bears' bell cow David Montgomery both spent time of their own as head of the offense. Starting off with the former, during his high school days in Georgia, McKinnon was one of the best athletes around, as you might expect. He played damn near every position his team needed him to. During his junior year, he helped the team to a regional title as a wide receiver. And the following year, they threw him back under center where he used his athleticism to torch opposing defenses as a dual-threat quarterback, getting offers from Georgia State, Navy, and Army, where he helped the small school earn its first ever win over a BCS team by knocking off the University of Florida in 2013, on the road no less. So if you've been entertained by McKinnon's running style as a pro, which features some deadly hesitation moves and an exceptional ability to read the defense, you can now thank his days as a triple option quarterback, which have certainly influenced his game. Montgomery, on the other hand, grew up in Ohio, not exactly the football hotbed that Georgia is, which led him to only being lately recruited out of high school, despite putting up monster numbers as a dual-threat quarterback. In fact, Montgomery was one of the best high school players that Ohio had seen in recent years, despite the reality that his rushing abilities clearly outweighed his passing abilities. During his 4-year career, he rushed for 6,666 yards and 91 touchdowns, and earned all sorts of accolades in the process, including Offensive Player of the Year his senior season. But I guess, considering the fact that he threw for just 726 yards and 7 touchdowns compared to 2,707 yards and 41 scores on the ground during that award-winning season, I think it's safe to say that he made the right move committing to the running back position at the collegiate level and subsequently during his NFL career. Next up, we have a bit of surprise here, with another former emergency COVID quarterbacking option for the Chargers, Rayshawn Jenkins. Jenkins, who now plays for the Jags, was a force to be reckoned with during his high school days in St. Petersburg at Admiral Farragut Academy. During that time, he not only played defensive back, the position that he now earns his money at, but also wide receiver, running back, and of course, quarterback. By the time that Jenkins got to the University of Miami, where he played his college ball, it was time for him to put his quarterbacking days behind him, and he transitioned to playing D-back full-time. From throwing passes to now defending them, Jenkins has been involved in every aspect of the passing game. Speaking of guys that are important to the passing game, how about two players who are superstars at their respective positions for their respective teams that used to play a little QB back in the day? Philadelphia Eagles offensive tackle Lane Johnson and Kansas City Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce. Starting this time with the latter, Kelce, who we've seen slot in on a few awesome trick plays in Andy Reid's offense as a passer, actually had a nice little run as a signal caller. Before his college days at the University of Cincinnati, Kelce was the quarterback at his Cleveland Heights High School. He earned all-league honors as a senior, posting 2,539 yards of total offense, including 1,016 rushing yards and 10 rushing touchdowns, in addition to 1,523 passing yards and 21 passing touchdowns. Though these numbers weren't astronomical by any stretch, they were definitely solid. And when you see Kelce slot in, either during a trick play or in a wildcat set, now you know why he looks so natural with the ball in his hands scanning the field. As far as Johnson is concerned, well, the All-Pro offensive tackle was an extremely well-rounded athlete during his high school days in Texas. He was an honorable mention All-State as a quarterback, and was a top 4 finisher during the shot put event at the state championships in 2008. Johnson, unlike Kelce, actually continued his quarterback exploits at the next level, at least briefly. Before transferring to the University of Oklahoma as a freshman, he started at Kilgore College, a JUCO in East Texas, where he played quarterback, and a little bit of tight end during the 2008 season. season. And to his credit, his numbers weren't too bad. He totaled 584 yards and 7 touchdowns to just 3 interceptions in limited time. At Oklahoma, he briefly served as the practice squad quarterback before a couple of position changes. First to tight end, then to defensive end, and finally offensive tackle, which has definitely proved to be his just right position. Interestingly, that last switch to the O-line was actually born out of necessity. 2 starters on the line went down at the beginning of the season, and offensive line coach Bruce Kittle was amazed by Johnson's natural footwork and talent during the tryout that they hosted to find suitable fill-ins. Needless to say, seems like Kittle was onto something with that read, as Johnson has proven to be one of the best linemen in the league since going pro. But which NFL star were you most surprised to find out that they used to play quarterback? Was there anyone that we missed? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton. And hey, we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next time.